Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the late but eventually here episode of The Climb, Season 5, Episode 4, covering just the Week 5 games, although some Week 6 games have been played. Those will be covered on the on schedule, on time episode of The Climb, and I am Proton Plat Player, joined by Never Saw, the newcomer for this season, and a returner, Sifra, and the dog. Sifra, what's your name? Or what's your dog's name again?
Blue.
Blue. That's so cute. And then I see you also have some pets in the background. Never saw.
Hmm.
You have a, let's see, was that a
Oh, hold up.
not an Eevee, a Flareon,
Yep,
and was that Sylveon or whatever?
yep,
Okay. Um,
nailed it.
Man, I haven't played Pokemon in forever. But Never Saw, Sifra, glad to have you guys here. And real quick, Never Saw, since you're a newcomer to the climb for this season, obviously you've been on it before. Give a little brief introduction and sort of how you're feeling this season, what you're participating in, um, what your thoughts are on Summit.
Well, hello. My name's Neversaw. A lot of you probably also know me by Eevee. That's my Discord name. Typically, you'll see me as. I play mid lane. Have been playing in Summit since is it season 3? Is it season 3?
Yeah,
With
season three.
Gar's kindergarten class. If you're wondering why there's a Gar's second grade class, it's because of that team.
They've graduated
Um,
twice.
mm-hmm. Twice. Yep. Um, and came back for this season after a bit of a rough last season. And overall, I have to say this has been probably the funniest team I've been part of, which we will hopefully get to with talking about some of my team. And yeah, it's been very fun summit season for sure.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Sifra, I don't want to say anything because I know how your summit season's been going, but it's alright. We don't have to touch on it. But we're just glad you're here. Glad to see your beautiful face. So, and glad to see Blue sleeping in the background. So, these are the points updated after the week 5 games. So we can see Gar second grade class and Final Boss Esports both tied at 14 points. Now, I didn't do any head to head tiebreakers. We'll do that once the season's all wrapped up, and we'll see if there's any gross, because it's also not a full round robin either, so there's potential for weird little things. Not necessarily sure how that's going to work out, but so 14 points, and then Possum Posse 13 points, Marmy Fan Club and Chill Guys at 7 points, and then a three-way tie for 6, 7, 8. Harold's Groovies, Ohio, Scheduling Nightmares at 5, Tubby Spookies at 3, and Anglers Won't Back Down at 2. Again, not reflecting the Week 6 games. So, do we have any thoughts on this week, these Week 5 games? Any thoughts, Never Saw?
Um, I would say not really anything. I would say out of the ordinary from what we've seen, because at this point, this is week 5. There's already been 4 weeks of play, so team skill levels are starting to like kind of get figured out where people place, how they start matching up. So I think generally, like looking at the results for all of these games, they don't look too crazy. Except honestly, I feel a little bit surprised about how like well Chill Guys versus Anglers Won't Back Down win. Like they just kind of swept them. I mean that's the team with Gumby, so it's kind of like a little surprising. And it looks like the Ohio versus Harold's Groovy was a bit of a bloodbath. Both teams trying to fight for a higher position. So overall, nothing too crazy though I can see from this week.
And what are your thoughts, Sifra?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I guess the most surprising here is Ohio versus Harold's Groovies. I think every other team was kind of expected, or like an expected blowout, at least for the most part. But that's the only one that really surprises me.
All right. Well, speaking of Ohio versus Harold's Groovies, we're gonna get into it with the new Summit Seasons view, summitseasons.gg. check it out.
Whoa.
Some names are missing, but that's just weird Riot Games API things. Don't worry about that. So this was a 2-1 in favor of Ohio. We see this game one. Um, did we have any thoughts on this game one before we continue on? Never saw.
Well, I can't actually tell who a couple of these players are, unfortunately. Trying to remember who, would that be Owen on the cane for Ohio? And I think is it Henry Patterson or something like that is the mid?
Henry Patterson is the mid laner, and
Yeah.
then Owen on the cane.
Yeah, it looks like it just, wow. Like, I'm looking at this and it looks like pretty much everything except mid lane just kind of got absolutely blasted out of orbit. I don't know, there's not really much to look at. I mean, it's a 28-minute game. Most of the kills were on the Mel, couple assists here and there, but so many deaths on everyone else. I mean, 091, bit of a roughie in the top lane for ISO, and it looks like they kind of brought the hammer to Ohio.
Yeah, good game for John Dye for Biddy, and
Hmm.
ultimately, yeah, so the Garen didn't seem to work out this time, and the just the top lane for Ohio didn't really work out. We're going to now scroll down to games two, and we'll go to game two first, and then we'll just stare at it a little bit, and you can see Ohio kind of one sided, really one sided, I should say. This time, ISO having a much better game on the Dr. Mundo, and
Wait a moment.
what?
I just realized because now I'm remembering this. I don't think that's Own on the Cane or the Echo. I believe they had a sub and a sub that I know very well. I believe this was Riddy actually playing jungle for them.
Really? Oh no.
I do. That would also explain why the thing is broken. Because I remember looking at his profile and I saw that Echo game and I was like, holy crap, man, you like popped off like crazy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
So
maybe a little bit of a super sub situation going on here. And
Riddy
then,
is my goat.
yeah, Surdy is in fact the goat. So we're gonna move on to the game three, and then I'm gonna have Sifra speak. Sifra, what do you think in general of this series? Because it looks like game one was a little bit back and forth. ISO just had a bad game, but then you just put ISO Didact on Dr. Mundo. Mundo goes where he pleases, and
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it just you stabilize in the top lane, and then the bot lane and the mid lane, the jungle. You just carry through the other lanes, and I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, Strand, good job, Strand in game three, popping off. We like to see my boy Steven carrying.
2 and 3 really. I mean, this now that it's not, we think it's not Owen on the jungle, it makes a little bit more sense because yeah, going from game 1 where it was like the Kane and then we go to game 2 where it's 16 and 2 on Echo, it was like I was a drastic change, but yeah, that seems to be what's working for them, like ISO Didact being put on something that's just like a wall essentially into like the other top laner, because Garen Mordekaiser was an absolute blowout, and then they put him on window where he just, I mean, doesn't do like too much. He's just kind of there in front of people. But yeah, the bot lane stabilized both games, and even like game 2, Strand was 9-2, and ended game 3 0-0-9. So he was just there, I guess, as like a wave clear monster. But yeah,
Yeah,
they kind of turned it around 2 and 3. So
yeah. I mean, Harold's Groovies feels like a middle bottom of the pack team. Ohio though seems to be coming up, especially with these strong performances. Really just with the trade that they did recently, and they're just they're feeling a lot better about their chances. So with that, we are going to move on to the next one, the next game, which is Gar's second grade class versus Marmy Fan Club. Look at that beautiful, that beautiful, beautiful
The Newport hat is
logo.
really what's
I
selling
know.
it.
All right. So, Never so. What are your thoughts on just the series in total? Because this was a 2-0. Guard secondary class, I wouldn't say dominated, but were definitely felt like they were in the driver's seat for this series.
I mean, this first game looks like it went about 29 minutes. I think I saw pieces of this game when it was happening, and it just seemed like essentially mid was kind of like even slash ahead. Their top laner was not getting blown out of the game to the point where the enemy top can just like 1v9 like we saw with, I think it was when Too Easy matched up, they had a Kale game where they actually managed to sneak a win against Gar's second grade class through the top lane. And it looks like in the bot lane it was just very much Peak and BR doing their usual thing as definitely the best bot lane duo in the entire league, bar none. And yeah, it looks like it was pretty one-sided, but a little bit of fighting back from Marmy Fan Club.
Yeah, so actually, for game one, the scoreboard was pretty accurate. That Gar's second grade class, excuse me, my voice is going on. Gar's second grade class was kind of in the lead the entire time, and Gar and Dragon Tooth and Foreign Guy were all doing well to make sure Gar was getting ahead. But in game two, and you can kind of see the kill score kind of reflected a little bit. Gar's second grade class was actually kind of behind early and mid. And then heading into late game, they started clawed it back. Gar Goomba, as you can see, popped off on the performance, and then peak performance actually with a kind of a weird KDA, but um, you'll see game two was really bloody, and you can see Gourmet Cookies actually started out 4-0. So really just made things difficult, for Dragon Tooth and just the entirety of Gar's second grade class. But, with peak performance and BR and, Gar popping off on the Mbessa, actually, Mbessa jungle, he was able to, they were able to claw this way back, and that's why, they're a top team. So, what are your thoughts on this series, Sifra?
This is probably the only series that I've seen from Gar's second grade class where it's not like four people that just support Peak. Because like game one, like Gar's 9-1, game two, Gar's 15-3. So, I guess their shift, like their focus shifted because we see things like the Thresh banned out by Gar's second grade class because BR was on it game one, BR was on Bard game two, and Pete kind of suffered for that. It looks like, but I mean, this looks like it was the Gar show in this game or this week because I mean, he really popped off in this one. Pete did good game two, and then like you said, he has kind of like a weird KDA in the second game, but he also has a Bard that was 4-0-23, so it looks like the Bard was playing his own life rather than protect the ADC.
Bard,
But
Bard, Bard, Bard. They say
yeah,
Bard, 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 Bard. That's the
pretty
rule.
pretty standard game for Marmy's fan club where we see most of their people like on their top side of the map have
Average
at
Pyrosis
least
KDA.
yeah.
He's
Game one, I mean,
kill
they
Death
didn't
Merchant.
see too much, but we
Yeah,
see Heiko and Kane in game one. Kind of makes sense.
yeah. All right, and that we're going on to the next series: Possum Posse versus Scheduling Nightmares. Definitive 2-0 here for Possum Posse. Uh, Never saw your thoughts on just game one, the game two in the series.
Oh, looks like game one is kind of another of what we've seen quite a few of this week, where it's just a bit of a ha, blowout. I was looking at Scythe's name and was trying to say blow, and I mixed words together. It's fine. Um, uh, yeah, it just doesn't seem like. I feel like you would expect top lane for Bronzina, having played with them last season as well, to have had more impact in the top lane. But it seems the Summit Ornn strikes again and does Ornn things, and the bot side just completely collapsed. Which I mean, I think most of their budget is towards the mid and jungle for scheduling nightmares. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Especially with Sai in the mid lane.
That
Um,
sounds right.
so it seems like a rough game across the board. Only one who seems to have had a okay game was the top lane, as it's hard to tell from the scoreboard if he had gotten like multiple solos and then fell behind due to like team stuff, or if it was like managed to trade back. It's hard to say, but it definitely looks like it was very clearly Posse favored.
Yeah, I mean, the entirety this game really summarizes just everywhere across the map. Sort of won here. Them and Adam, X-Ray did well, Blob, Nika's popping off. And that's sort of, where Possum Posse succeeds is theoretically they do have three strong lanes and a strong jungle. Scheduling nightmares, just not able to find anything. The bot lane really just got exploited, as you can see, 1 in 14 there in the bot lane KD. Now this game 2 was actually interesting though, because it was similar to the game 2 of the Guard's second grade class, where the top lane fell behind, as you can see with the 7-2-9 there for Bronzina. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but X-Ray didn't get solo killed over and over and over, but he did get camped. He did get camped by Nightmare's Kindred. Um, the the Elise coming in there for El Turris didn't really find great effect, and Boy Wife Sai, they're just not able to really be able to carry this team on the Echo 3 and 5. Not the best performance, and ultimately this just came down to them Adam, Nikas, and Blob running the map while X-Ray was getting ganked over and over and over, and I guess he was a pressure sponge, but I do like seeing X-Ray kind of, dying over and over. So that is my favorite thing to see. I don't know how you feel about it, Sifra, but
This game was very interesting. I just looking at this, because top lane looks like it's another slot fest with Mundo Ilaoi, but I'm kind of surprised to see Sai on Echo. I feel like that's not a very Sai character that I would expect them to play. But game one, they had like a structured comp, and then they just game two, it looks like they just picked whatever they wanted to play. Like I guess they were getting, I don't want to say desperate, but it's kind of what it looks like. They have like Kindred, they have Echo, they have like Elise, Caitlyn, like just looking to get a kill anywhere. But
yeah, assassin comp.
yeah, but they have a, I think they just have a curse of not being able to get anything together in time for, because it's week 5, so they should have gotten something together like week 3, but I just don't think they've been able to do that.
Yep. And with that, we are going to move on to, this is actually quite funny, the next series here, Final Boss Esports versus Tubby Spookies. I'm not even going to say anything because I have the two experts here. It was a 2-0 for Final Boss Esports. First, we're going to have Neversaw speak, and then we're going to have Sifra speak for each game, because they were on opposite sides here, so Neversaw. Tell me what happened here in this game 1.
Well, it's another game of the Final Boss Esports Classic. What in the hell is going on with our drafts? It was
Ramus.
like B1 Ari, and then it was like I think we picked Ash Ramus, and then we picked Poppy Tristana or something like that. It was I wouldn't blame Sivra. I don't know what the comms are like for you guys with the drafts. If you want to touch on that when I'm done with this, like trying to understand what's going on with the drafts, because sometimes even I don't even understand what's going on. But in terms of the game itself, I think like early game was kind of a bit back and forth. They actually had a really good grubs play, where we definitely got a bit bonked on the head, but eventually the comp just kind of like scaled really well. And at a certain point, I mean, when you have a ticking time bomb with something like the Tristana, where it's the thing, it's a scaling ADC. Tristana gets out of control, can just one shot people, and unfortunately, the Vladimir didn't really like get enough ahead to really impact the game. And then eventually, once there was enough items, the game just kind of blew wide open, from what I recall.
All
Yeah.
right, Sifra, your thoughts?
Having played against you guys when I was on Ohio, when you guys locked the Ari, I was like, that's probably Ari bot. And they're like, no, 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 it's fine. I was like, no, that's going to be Ari bot.
Sorry,
And then
bye.
got logged, and I was like, that is Ari Ash
That
bot.
is Ari
So we
Hashbot.
kind of played a little bit around it until we got confirmation. But I think when you locked Tristana, I was like, that's, yeah, they're not running Tristana Ash bot lane. But
No.
yeah, this game one was definitely, I think, a lot closer, just because like I sucked it up and played Maokai even though I hate the champion. Like I tried to get roams off because uh like we have an Israel so he can play safe. And then really the most of our plays were just like topside. And we were ahead for a little bit, it felt like, but like you said, it
Yeah.
just Tristan the late game is just you
It's
just
such a
jump
bad
on
thing.
one person, blow them up, jump out, leave, and then just go on, reset, kill tower is as freely as you want. But yeah. Game one was kind of an interesting shell, and then game two is even more interesting.
Yeah, game two, you guys just really full ego did the Yasuo comp, didn't you? You really just wanted to have Ryan get a
Okay.
montage moment.
No, so let's get the
No, 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 no,
context
no,
real
no.
quick.
I don't want
No, no,
any.
no.
No.
We're getting the context for why this comp happened. We discussed it pregame because both me and Ryan talked in the Trash Talk channel about I talked about not being able to play Galio more specifically like I love playing Galio but I haven't been able to play it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Bet I'll play Galio this week. And Ryan's like, I want to play Yasuo, and also he was like, I'm not showing up if you don't play Galio, so
Oh,
I'm being held hostage
whoa,
here.
toxic.
Um, and so when we got into this game two after winning game one, we were like, okay, can we just do like a Galio Yasuo comp? And it was Ryan who brought it up, and I was like, you know what? Sure. Like, okay, whatever. Let's do this. So we walked the now a classic Rumble Maokai bot lane with Rek'Sai in the jungle. And then on 4-5, we were praying that they would not ban Yasuo Galio. And that's pretty much how the draft came to be. As for the game itself, let's just say a tent was put up in the mid lane, or not mid lane, sorry, top lane. Pour too easy every single time
Oh,
you
and
wanted to
10.
do anything. There was a Rek'Sai, or even better, I was TPing, walking, diving, or ulting on his head off cooldown, even dropping waves for it. It was really rough to be
I'm
too easy in this
I'm
game.
pretty sure that counts as cyberbullying. Am I gonna have to report you?
Well, season 4 is calling.
Yeah. Hey, that's funny. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this in this game, if you have any, Sifra?
This game I think was the first time like I it's kind of we have a curse in the summit season, it looks like, where like there's like one high elo ADC and then like a bunch of like scattered throughout ADCs. But this is probably one of the first times that Ben Ayekben was like pretty proud of his performance, and he did really good as Jin. And Tubby did really great, but we just had an O10 Aurelia, a 1-8
Oh,
Gwen.
oh,
And so it's like, what can
oh.
we do? Because like us three can do stuff, but not against a Galio, Maokai, CC Chain, Rumble, ult, Rek'Sai, like a Fed Rek'Sai just jumping on whoever they want. Yeah, and then top lane was just
Yep.
like always permanent. So
Yep. Sounds about
this is
right.
definitely a rough one.
Yeah.
I have a clip from this game specifically where I think too easy TP's top, and I am playing Rakan. I'm literally just sitting just outside of my W range as I'm watching him get beat up by 3 tanks. I was like,
Yeah.
I think
So
I'm fine.
sounds about right. All right, and we're gonna move on to our fifth and final week 5 game here. Chill guys, this was the official stream. Chill guys versus anglers won't back down. Um, let me scroll this down real quick, and then bam, there we go. So ultimately for game one, Chill guys versus anglers won't back down. Pretty definitively just in Chill guys' favor. Loco Yopoko, Gix, Cisco, Goblin, Seeker, they all started just popped off, and the Gumby Power has been in the jungle and won't back down, has been in the support. Anglers trying to see if that little roster move will work out for him. Clearly, it hasn't. Never saw. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
I mean, I think it's really interesting that they ended up swapping their players around. I don't know if Crescent Axe is like the same player that I faced. I'm
That's
trying to like look
injustice.
into this. Injustice. Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, so they ended up like flipping 3 of their players around, where Savior was their support, one back down jungle, Gumby mid, and now Gumby has decided that he is done playing mid lane and wants to play jungle to influence the map is my best guess, while won't back down kind of vibes in the bot lane and savior holds down the fort mid. I'm guessing that's what they were trying to go for, but it seems like it didn't work out very well. This just it just kind of looks like everything except like top gap basically. It seems Injustice was trying, but that is a really hard matchup to like. You get stonewalled by Poppy really hard, and there's a Cogmilio, Cassio. Like this is like an impossible game to play as Ambassa, and the rest of the map didn't really pick up the slack either.
Here we see game two. Now, game two was interesting though because it seems like there's something weird going on with these game twos where the team that ends up winning in the 2-0 actually comes from behind to starts early mid behind and then manages to fight their way back. Great performance here by Cisco. Good performances by Gix and Goblin. And really, this like the Gumby's KDA, yes, it is 7-7-4, but Gumby was basically sort of the sole potential for anglers to win in this game too. On this Gwen, just really, being up into the face of the Jinx and the Vex, and just doing a whole lot of damage and carrying most of the gold advantage. But ultimately, with just the better comms, better team fighting, Shield guys were able to take this series 2-0. So, Sifra, do you have any thoughts on this game or just the series in general?
Kind of like what Evie said, where they swap their players around is really interesting. Like Gumby trying to do more as like the jungler, and it kind of looks like maybe like he did this to himself, but won't back down. Like kind of standard where you put your low elo player like on support. Bickle play Nautilus or like some easy engage champ like Alistair. Doesn't seem like it's worked too well because both of the matchups that like in support at least are like really sided towards chill guys. And chill guys just have like this easy to play comp, whereas I think anglers just don't have too much going on. And it seems like Gix is still relegated to Diana duty, whether they want it or not. But it seems to be working out pretty well for them.
All right. Thank you, Sifra. So, those are the games. Those are the week 5 games. Again, no week 6 predictions because most of the games have already been played. But real quick, just to pad a little bit of time. Never saw. Look at the standings here. Look at the points. Do you have any thoughts about the standings? Do you think that these are going to kind of just not really move as we move into the final weeks? Or do you think that they might change?
Well, I can say for one that in the top side of the rankings, because right now there's a huge divide between Gar's second grade class, Final Boss Esports, and Possum Posse. And there's literally like a 6 point gap. That's two full 2-0 series worth of points. With only 2 weeks left, it is unlikely this top 3 is going to change at all. Honestly, the biggest thing is with the top 3 at least. Gar's second grade class and Possum Posse play in their last week. But we don't actually play either of those teams.
Oh man,
Um,
that's Mickey
so
Mouse. If you guys end up being the top seed, that's Mickey Mouse right there.
yeah, so there's a little bit of unfortunate with the format going on with that. What is it? That we don't play either of the top teams. So top rankings, it might be a little bit fraudulent, but we'll see. Um,
That's all right. You wouldn't
as
choke in playoffs, right?
I haven't okay, I haven't choked in playoffs. However, I have been not rule booked, but scheduled
Hold
out of
on, hold
playoffs.
on.
I've been
No, no, no,
scheduled
no,
out of
no, no,
playoffs a
no. We're
couple
not talking
times.
about this. We don't. It's
I've been
forbidden.
scheduled out of playoffs,
You
and
forget
one
that
time
I
I
was
got to
on
play,
that
I
team.
won.
That yep.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I
Um.
so
But what about the
but
bottom of the
for the
standings here?
rest of them, yeah. So for the rest of the teams, it's actually a really close race. The points is, I mean, literally, there's less of a points difference from 4th and 5th to 10th than there is 3rd to 4th, right? So this is a very close race. Is it top 8 makes it into playoffs
Yes, top
or
8, and then it's a
okay.
bracket.
So right now it's kind of like a little worrying for Tubbies, Pookies, and Anglers won't back down as they are with only 2 weeks left, like and how close the points are, they are definitely like the furthest away. But a good like 2 series could easily put them in contention, and everyone else above them, like nobody can really sleep on the wheel. And especially if they want like a good ranking, even fourth and fifth place really need to like keep on top of that. And I would say in general, it's looking very close across like all the teams. I feel like the teams between like if you separate it from top 3 to everything else, it's generally actually fairly close across the board. And it's only really a divide once you get to like top 3 versus that. Um and I think it's quite interesting. I have no idea how the standings are going to shake up and who's going to actually like make playoffs, get the top spot. But cool season.
Cool, yeah, cool season. I mean, this is interesting. A little top, I wouldn't say top heavy, but like it is interesting that those top 3 are just feels very clearly way. I wouldn't say way better, but significantly better than the bottom, the rest. What are your thoughts, Sifra, as somebody kind of on the other side of the scale here?
I think the problem with at least the bottom tier teams, like your sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th, they have conflicts that they had, like internal conflicts with their teams that they are kind of sorting to figure out. Like your sixth, seventh, and eighth teams, they're figuring it out now, but like my team, Tubby Spookies and Anglers won't back down. It seems like they just have not found their groove at all. So I mean, with them being ninth and 10th, I'm not too sure if they could even make it into the top 8 unless like a miracle happens in the next 2 weeks. Um, I think between Harold's Groovies, Ohio, and Scheduling Nightmares, it's really a toss up just to see like what happens with your high elo players of those games. Marmy's fan club is like on the back of who feeds more and who doesn't. But
That's definitely true.
I think I said this in week like the very first climb episode. I think the only team that could beat Gar's second grade class would be Final Boss Esports, just on the sheer fact that like um Final Boss Esports is really good at stonewalling, like neutraling, and then you can just kind of gap them everywhere else on the map. And then Possum Posse is really good at having a good bot lane with a strong mid and everything else. So I think going into the final week and especially in the playoffs, it could be quite the contention that we'll see. But the bottom tier teams, it's kind of looking cooked.
All right, thank you, Sifra. Thank you, Neversaw. That will wrap up this kind of, I wouldn't say summarized, but shorter episode of the climb here.
Speed
We're going,
run.
yeah, speed run episode. So thank you once again, everyone, for watching. Good morning, good night, whenever you're watching this. Thank you to my guests, and thank you for watching, everyone.